It is Wednesday, June 16th, 2021. Welcome into DIRTRACKR Daily. I'm Justin Fiedler. Today we are talking about last night's All-Star, Summer Nationals, and USAC races. There's also some new podcast episodes and today's streaming schedule to get to, so let's get going. Ohio Sprint Speedweek for the All-Stars continued last night at Sharon Speedway, and when the show was over, Danny Dietrich was standing in victory lane, and social media was mad, really mad. The track surface slicked off very early in the program last night, and it made me and a lot of others concerned about the possibility of rubber for the feature. And unfortunately, those concerns were realized pretty quickly into the 35-lapper. Sharon took rubber, and the racing was pretty much locked down on the bottom. Out front, Danny Dietrich slipped past pole sitter George Hobaugh on the first lap, and nobody could really do anything with him from there. It ended up being Dietrich's 14th career All-Star win and his first during Ohio Sprint Speedweek. According to Jacob Horde on Twitter, Dietrich is now the 13th driver to win a race during both Ohio and Pennsylvania Speedweeks. The other names on that list are Cole Duncan, Kyle Larson, Greg Hodnett, Stevie Smith, Keith Kaufman, Tyler Walker, Jeff Shepard, Chad Kemenah, Rico Abreu, Dave Blaney, Ed Lynch Jr., and Christopher Bell. That's quite the list. The rest of the top five behind Dietrich was Tyler Courtney, Justin Peck, Kyle Larson, and Hobaugh. The complaint about rubber down tracks is always that there isn't any passing, but we didn't really see that last night. Cole Duncan was plus 11, Paul McMahon was hard charger at plus 12, and a lot of other guys were plus 3 or more on the night. If you actually look at the numbers, we saw more position changes from start to finish last night at Sharon on a rubber down track than we saw the previous two nights at Wayne County and Fremont. What's interesting is the perception of those races is very different. I don't think anybody would say Wayne County and Fremont were not good races. I think everybody would say they were absolutely great races. But there was actually more position changes. We've had this discussion too on the show before about whether passing and a position changes through the course of the race actually means better racing. And it's really kind of when those passes happen and what the perception is of those passes and how those kind of equate to being a good race. I did appreciate last night that my buddy Blake Anderson did not gloss over the conditions last night while he was announcing. Instead of pretending like it wasn't happening, he gave context and talked about the challenges the drivers were facing. A lot of times you'll see this from the series, from PR people, like from the tracks, like they want to gloss over the fact, they want to pretend like the track didn't rubber down. They don't even want to say the word rubber. So I think it's great that he acknowledged that it was happening and then took it from there and said, here's what the drivers are up against. Here, they need to protect their right rears, and here was another race during the season where this happened. So kudos to Blake for that. I do think it's important to understand that while nobody clearly wants tracks to take rubber, sometimes it happens, and then not every race on the schedule can be an absolute barn burner. The outrage is always kind of interesting to witness for me on social media. There's still intriguing things to watch in that feature last night, but it seems like a lot of folks will never see past the issues with the racetrack. It's really unfortunate. Regardless of track conditions, somebody's going to win these races, and other guys are still out there racing to try and maximize their positions because of things like prize money and the points that are available. And as is the case with any other night, there are going to be challenges to overcome for the competitors, and that's just why we watch dirt racing. The win for Dietrich was good enough to see him take over the Speedweek points lead. He tops Tyler Courtney now by 12 points with 4 nights left to race. Courtney extended his season-long points lead to now 132 over Ian Madsen thanks to his 14th straight top 5 finish this season. Tonight, the All-Stars head to Waynesfield for night number 5. You can watch the action live on Flow Racing. The 2021 versions of Summer Nationals and Modified Nationals got underway last night at Brownstown Speedway, and when the night was over, it was two very familiar faces in victory lane. In the night's late model feature, outside front row starter Bobby Pierce was quickly to the lead at the start. He had to fend off a mid-race challenge from 8th starting Tim Lance, and then held off Devin Moran in the closing laps to grab the win on night 1. Moran ended up 2nd, Lance 3rd, Tanner English 4th, and Devin Gilpin completed the top 5. Pierce is a 3-time Summer National champion, and last night was his 28th career series win. Following the late model race, defending series champion Nick Hoffman put on a dominating performance in the modified feature, leading all 25 laps from the pole to get the $1,500 win. Tyler Nicely, Stephen Brooks, Jacoby Hines, and John DeMoss completed the top 5. There's obviously still potentially 35 nights remaining, but these races were a great start to the season for both Pierce and Hoffman, who are looking for more championships. Remember that only the 12 best races count for the modifieds and 31 best races count for the late models. As is usually the case here, there's a lot of I'm going to race for a week or two and see where I am type stuff from the late model drivers right now. As of right now, it looks like Pierce, Moran, Inglis, Shirley, Moyer Jr., and a few others are committed to the full schedule, but that can and will change based on how each of those guys performs in the coming days and weeks. If they're up in contention, a lot of these guys will continue to race, but if they have some bad nights and get in a hole, they will fall off, but that's pretty typical. This opening week continues tonight at Peoria Speedway for both the late models and modifieds. You can again watch live on Dirt Vision if you can't be at the track. At Grandview Speedway last night in Pennsylvania, we saw the opener for USAC's Eastern Storm. The National Sprint Car competitors took on the 1/3 mile track, and at the end, it was Justin Grant celebrating his second win of 2021. He held Tanner Thorson and Brady Bacon at bay and led all 40 laps en route to the victory. Bacon finished second, Thorson third, Kevin Thomas Jr. fourth, and Robert Ballou was fifth. It was Grant's 23rd career series win, which moves him one spot ahead of his late father-in-law, Bubby Jones, on the all-time win list. Grant mentioned Jones in his post-race comments and also talked about Jesse Hockett, who last night's race was named after, and Brian Clausen. Yesterday was Clausen's 32nd birthday. Grant remains 36 points behind Bacon for the series points lead, but there's still obviously a lot of racing left to do, not only this week, but this season. Robert Ballou stayed hot last night with another top 5 result, and the 5th place finish was his 12th straight top 10 with the series. Looking around the country, only Tim McCready with the Lucas Late Models has more consecutive top 10 finishes right now than Ballou does. Briggs Danner was the top finishing outsider, grabbing a 6th and his 3rd top 10 finish with the National Series in 2021 as well. The USAC Sprint Car competitors are back in action tonight at Bridgeport. You can watch that live on Flow. There are plenty of new Dirt Racing podcast episodes to check out this week for your ears. Winged Nation has Paul McMahon, Tim Kading, and Scotty Neitzel. Stick Signals has episodes with Nick Hoffman, Tanner English, and Brandon Overton. Forward Bite has Zach Dome. I was actually the guest on Passing Points this week, and their new episodes of the Dirt Reporters, Dirt Nerds, Ohio Dirt, Wednesdays with Wayne, and the Midwest Autosports podcast. To see the full list of shows and episodes, hit up DIRTRACKR.com/podcasts. It's another busy night on the streaming platforms tonight with 7 shows on the schedule. Dirt Vision has night 2 of the Summer Nationals from Peoria. Flow Racing has the All-Stars from Waynesfield, USAC Sprint Cars at Bridgeport, and IMCA Racing from 141 Speedway. MAV TV Plus has the POWRi Illinois Speedweek opener for the midgets at Charleston, and Speed Sport has weekly racing from Buena Vista. To see that full daily streaming schedule with links to watch, visit DIRTRACKR.com/watch tonight. That's it for the show today. Hope everybody has a good Wednesday. If you have thoughts about the topics on today's show, please leave them in the comments below or tweet at me. You can find DIRTRACKR Daily where you get podcasts and YouTube. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and leave a review. You can follow DIRTRACKR on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at DIRTRACKR. And you can check out the website for all kinds of cool dirt racing stuff by visiting DIRTRACKR.com. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for more DIRTRACKR Daily.